Dedication to Wilfrid and Alice Meynell by Francis Thompson. Read for LibriVox.org by Christine Lehman. If the rose in meek duty may dedicate humbly to her grower the beauty wherewith she is comely, if the mine to the miner the jewels that pined in it, earth to diviner the springs he divined in it, to the grapes the wine pitcher their juice that was crushed in it, viol to its witcher the music lay hushed in it, if the lips may pay gladness in laughters she wakened, and the heart to its sadness weeping unslakened, if the hid and sealed coffer whose having not his is, to the loosers may proffer their finding, here this is, their lives if all livers to the life of all living, to you, O dear givers, I give your own giving. End of poem. This recording is in the public domain.
Love in Dian's Lap, Before Her Portrait in Youth, by Francis Thompson. Read for LibriVox.org by Amelia Chesley. 1. Before Her Portrait in Youth. As lovers banished from their lady's face, and hopeless of her grace, fashion a ghostly sweetness in its place, fondly adore some stealth one cast attire she wore, a kerchief or a glove, and at the lover's beck into the glove there fleets the hand, or at impetuous command up from the kerchief floats the virgin neck, so I, in very lowly head of love, too shyly reverencing to let one thought's light footfall smooth, tread near the living consecrated thing. Treasure me thy cast youth. This outworn vesture, tenantless of thee, hath yet my knee, for that, with show and semblance fair of the past her who once the beautiful discarded raiment bare, it cheateth me. As gale to gale drifts breath of blossom's death, so dropping down the years from hour to hour this dead youth's scent is wafted me to-day. I sit and from the fragrance dream the flower, so then she looked, I say, and so her front sunk down heavy beneath the poet's iron crown. On her mouth museful sweet, even as the twin lips meet, did thought and sadness greet. Sighs in those mournful eyes, so put on visibilities. As viewless ether turns in deep on deep to dyes, thus long ago she kept her meditative paces slow, through maiden meads with waved shadow and gleam of locks half lifted on the winds of dream, till love upcaught her to his chariot's glow. Yet voluntary, happier Proserpine, this drooping flower of youth thou lettest fall, I, faring in the cockshut light astray, find on my lated way, and stoop and gather for memorial, and lay it on my bosom and make it mine. To this, the all of love the stars allow me, I dedicate and vow me. I reach back through the days, a trothed hand to the dead the last trump shall not raise. The water wraith that cries from those eternal sorrows of thy pictured eyes, entwines and draws me down their soundless intricacies. End of poem. This recording is in the public domain.
Love in Dian's Lap, To a Poet Breaking Silence, by Francis Thompson. Read for LibriVox.org by Amelia Chesley. 2. To a Poet Breaking Silence. Too wearily had we and song been left to look, and left too long, yea, song and we too long and look, since thine acquainted feet forsook the mountain where the Muses hymn for Sinai and the Seraphim. Now in both the mountains shine, dress thy countenance twice divine, from Moses and the Muses draw the tables of thy double law. His rod-born fountain castily let the one rock bring forth for thee, renewing so from either spring the songs which both thy countries sing. Or we shall fear lest heaven thus long thou shouldst forget thy native song, and mar thy mortal melodies with broken stammer of the skies. Ah, let the sweet birds of the Lord with earth's waters make accord, teach how the crucifix may be carven from the laurel tree. Fruit of the Hesperides, burnished take on Eden trees. The Muses' sacred grove be wet with the red dew of Olivet, and Sappho lay her burning brows in white Cecilia's lap of snows. Thy childhood must have felt the stings of two divine o'ershadowings. Its odorous heart have been a blossom that in darkness did unbosom those fireflies of God to invite burning spirits which by night bear upon their laden wing to such hearts impregnating. For flowers that night wings fertilize mock down the stars' unsteady eyes, and with a happy sleepless glance gaze the moon out of countenance. I think thy girlhood's watchers must have took thy folded songs on trust, and felt them as one feels the stir of still lightnings in the hair, when conscious hush expects the cloud to speak the golden secret loud, which tacit air is privy to. Flasked in the grape the wine they knew, ere thy poet mouth was able, for its first young starry babble, keep'st thou not yet that subtle grace? Yea, in this silent interspace God sets his poems in thy face. The loom which mortal verse affords, out of weak and mortal words, wovest thou thy singing weed in, to a rune of thy far Eden. Vain are all disguises, heavenly incognita. Thy mien bewrayeth through that wrong the great Uranian house of song. As the vintages of earth taste of the sun that riped their birth, we know what never cadent sun thy lamped clusters throbbed upon, what plumed feet the winepress trod. Thy wine is flavorous of God. Whatever singing robe thou wear has the paradisal air, and some gold feather it has kept shows what floor it lately swept. End of poem. This recording is in the public domain.
Love in Dian's Lap, Manus Animam Pinxit, by Francis Thompson. Read for LibriVox.org by Amelia Chesley. 3. Manus Animam Pinxit. Lady who hold'st on me dominion, within your spirit's arms I stay me fast against the fell, immitigate ravening of the gates of hell, and claim my right in you, most hardly won, of chaste fidelity upon the chaste. Hold me, and hold by me, lest both should fall. O in high escalade, high companion, even in the breach of heaven's assaulted wall, like to a wind-sown sapling grow I from the clift sweet of your skyward jetting soul, shook by all gusts that sweep it, overcome by all its clouds incumbent. O be true to your soul, dearest, as my life to you. For if that soil grow sterile, then the whole of me must shrivel from the topmost shoot of climbing posy, and my life, killed through, dry down and perish to the foodless root. Sweet summer, unto you this swallow drew by secret instincts inappeasable, that did direct him well, lured from his gelid north which wrought him wrong, wintered off sunning song, by happy instincts inappeasable, ah yes, that led him well, lured to the untried regions and the new climes of auspicious yew, to twitter there, and in his singing dwell. But ah, if you, my summer, should grow waste, with grieving skies o'ercast, for such migration my poor wing was strong but once, it has no power to fare again forth o'er the heads of men, nor other summers for its sanctuary, but from your mind's chilled sky it needs must drop and lie with stiffened wings among your soul's forlornest things, a speck upon your memory, alack, a dead fly in a dusty window crack. O therefore, you who are what words being to such mysteries as raiment to the body is, should rather hide than tell, chaste and intelligential love, whose form is as a grove hushed with the cooing of an unseen dove, whose spirit to my touch thrills purer far than is the tingling of a silver bell, whose body other ladies well might bear as soul, yea, which it profanation were for all but you to take as fleshly woof, being spirit truest proof, whose spirit sure is lineal to that which sang the Magnificat. Chastest, since such you are, take this curbed spirit of mine, which your own eyes invest with light divine, for lofty love and high auxiliar, in daily exalt emprise, which outsoars mortal eyes. This soul which on your soul is laid, as maid's breast against breast of maid, beholding how your own I have engraved on it, and with what purging thoughts I have laved this love of mine from all mortality. Indeed the copy is a painful one, and with long labour done. Oh, if you doubt the thing you are, lady, come then and look in me. Your beauty, Dian, dress and contemplate, within a pool to Dian consecrate. Unveil this spirit, lady, when you will, for unto all but you 'tis veiled still. Unveil, and fearless gaze there, you alone, and if you love the image, 'tis your own. End of poem. This recording is in the public domain.
Love in Dian's Lap, A Carrier Song, by Francis Thompson. Read for LibriVox.org by Amelia Chesley. 4. A Carrier Song. 1. Since you have waned from us, fairest of women, I am a darkened cage song cannot hymn in. My songs have followed you, like birds the summer. Ah, bring them back to me, swiftly, dear comer. Seraphim, her to him, might leave their portals, and at my feet learn the harping of mortals. 2. Where wings to rustle use, but this poor terrier, searching my spirit's eaves, find I for carrier. Ah, bring them back to me, swiftly, sweet comer. Swift, swift, and bring with you song's Indian summer. Seraphim, her to him, might leave their portals, and at my feet learn the harping of mortals. 3. Whereso your angel is, my angel goeth. I am left guardianless, paradise knoweth. I have no heaven left to weep my wrongs to. Heaven, when you went from us, went with my songs too. Seraphim, her to him, might leave their portals, and at my feet learn the harping of mortals. 4. I have no angels left, now sweet to pray to. Where you have made your shrine they are away to. They have struck heaven's tent, and gone to cover you. Whereso you keep your state, heaven is pitched o'er you. Seraphim, her to him, might leave their portals, and at my feet learn the harping of mortals. 5. She that is heaven's queen her title borrows, for that she pitiful beareth our sorrows. So thou, Regina me, spes informorum, with all our grieving crowned Mater Dolorum. Seraphim, her to him, might leave their portals, and at my feet learn the harping of mortals. 6. Yet, envious coveter of others' grieving, this lonely longing yet scapeth your reaving. Cruel, to take from a sinner his heaven! Think you with contrite smiles to be forgiven? Seraphim, her to him, might leave their portals, and at my feet learn the harping of mortals. 7. Penitent, give me back angels and heaven, render your stolen self and be forgiven. How frontier heaven from you, for my soul prays, sweet, still to your face in heaven, heaven in your face, sweet. Seraphim, her to him, might leave their portals, and at my feet learn the harping of mortals. End of poem. This recording is in the public domain. Love in Dian's Lap, Scala, Jacobi, Portaque, Eburnea, by Francis Thompson. Read for LibriVox.org by Amelia Chesley. 5. Scala, Jacobi, Portaque, Eburnea. Her soul from earth to heaven lies, like the ladder of the vision, whereon go to and fro in ascension and demission star-flecked feet of paradise. Now she is drawn up from me, all my angels, wet-eyed, tristful, gaze from great heaven's gate like pent children, very wistful, that below a playmate see. Dream dispensing face of hers, ivory port which loosed upon me wings, I wist, whose amethyst trepidations have forgone me, Hespers fill me traffickers. End of poem. This recording is in the public domain. Love in Dian's Lap, Gilded Gold, by Francis Thompson. Read for LibriVox.org by Amelia Chesley. 6. Gilded Gold. Thou dost to rich attire a grace to let it deck itself with thee, and teachest pomp strange cunning ways to be thought simplicity. But lilies stolen from grassy mould no more curled state unfold, translated to a vase of gold. In burning throne though they keep still serenities unthawed and chill. Therefore, albeit thou'rt stately so, in statelier state thou used to go. Though jewels should phosphoric burn through those night waters of thine hair, a flower from its translucid urn poured silver flame more lunar fair. These futile trappings but recall degenerate worshippers, who fall in purfled kirtle and brocade to peril the white mother maid. For as her image stood arrayed in vests of its self-substance wrought, to measure of the sculptor's thought, slurred by those added braveries, so for thy spirit did devise its maker's seemly garniture, of its own essence parcel pure, from grave simplicities, address, and reticent demurenesses, and love intinctured with reserve, which the woven vesture should subserve, for outward robes in their ostents should show the soul's habiliments. Therefore I say, thou'rt fair even so, but better fair I used to know. The violet would thy dusk hair deck with graces like thine own unsought. Ah, but such place would daze and wreck its simple, lowly, rustic thought. For so advanced, dear to thee, it would unlearn humility. Yet do not with an altered look in these weak numbers read rebuke, which are but jealous lest too much God's masterpiece thou shouldst retouch. Where a sweetness is complete, add not sweets unto the sweet. Or as thou wilt, for others so in unfamiliar richness go, but keep for mine acquainted eyes the fashions of thy paradise. End of poem. This recording is in the public domain. Love in Dian's Lap, Her Portrait, by Francis Thompson. Read for LibriVox.org by Amelia Chesley. 7. Her Portrait. Oh, but the heavenly grammar did I hold of that high speech which angels' tongues turn gold. So should her deathless beauty take no wrong, praised in her own great kindred's fit and cognate tongue. Or if that language yet with us abode, which Adam in the garden talked with God. But our untempered speech descends, poor airs, grimy and rough-cast still from Babel's bricklayers. Curse on the brutish jargon we inherit, strong but to damn, not memorize, a spirit. A cheek, a lip, a limb, a bosom, they move with light ease in speech of working day. And women we do use to praise even so. But here the gates we burst, and to the temple go. Their praise were her dispraise. Who dare adulate the seraphim for their burning hair? How, if with them I dared, here should I dare it? How praise the woman who but know the spirit? How praise the colour of her eyes, uncaught while they were coloured with her varying thought? How her mouth's shape, who only used to know what tender shape her speech will fit it to? Or her lips' redness, when their joined veil Song's fervid hand has parted till it wore them pale? If I would praise her soul, temerarious if, all must be mystery and hieroglyph. Heaven, which not oft is prodigal of its more to singers in their song too great before, by which the hierarch of large poesy is restrained to his once sacred benefice. Only for her the salutary awe relaxes and stern canon of its law, to her alone concedes pluralities, in her alone to reconcile agrees the Muse, the Graces, and the Charities. To her, who can the trust so well conduct, to her it gives the use, to us the usufruct. What of the dear administress then may I utter, though I spoke her own carved perfect way? What of her daily gracious converse known, whose heavenly despotism must needs dethrone and subjugate all sweetness but its own? Deep in my heart subsides the infrequent word, and there dies slowly, throbbing like a wounded bird. What of her silence, that outsweetens speech? What of her thoughts, high marks for mine own thoughts to reach? Yet, Chaucer's antique sentence so to turn, most gladly will she teach and gladly learn, and teaching her, by her enchanting art, the master threefold learns for all he can impart. Now all is said, and all being said, ay me,
there yet remains unsaid the very she. Nay, to conclude, so to conclude I dare, if of her virtues you evade the snare, then for her faults you'll fall in love with her. Alas, and I have spoken of her muse that died with her aurorial dews. Learn the wise cherubim from harps of gold seduce a trepidating music manifold. But the superior seraphim do know none other music but to flame and glow. So she first lighted on our frosty earth a sad musician of cherubic birth, playing to alien ears, which did not prize the uncomprehended music of the skies, the exiled airs of her far paradise. But soon from her own harpings taking fire, in love and light her melodies expire. Now heaven affords her, for her silenced hymn, a double portion of the seraphim. At the rich odours from her heart that rise, my soul remembers its lost paradise. And antenatal gales blow from heaven's shores of spice. I grow essential all, uncloaking me from this encumbering virility, and feel the primal sex of heaven and poetry, and parting from her, in me linger on vague snatches of Uranian antiphon. How to the petty prison could she shrink of femininity? Nay, but I think in a dear courtesy her spirit would woman assume, for grace to womanhood, or votaress to the virgin sanctitude of reticent withdrawal's sweet courted pale, she took the cloistral flesh, the sexual veil, of her sad aboriginal sisterhood, the habit of cloistral flesh which founding Eve endued. Thus do I know her, but for what men call beauty, the loveliness corporeal, its most just praise a thing unproper were, to sing or to listener, me or her. She wears that body but as one endues a robe, half careless, for it is the use. Although her soul and it so fair agree, we sure may, unattaint of heresy, conceit it might the soul's begetter be. The immortal could we cease to contemplate, the mortal part suggests its every trait. God laid his fingers on the ivories of her pure members as on smoothed keys, and there outbreathed her spirit's harmonies. I'll speak a little proudly. I disdain to count the beauty worth my wish or gaze, which the dull daily fool can covet or obtain. I do confess the fairness of the spoil, but from such rivalry it takes a soil. For her I'll proudlier speak. How could it be that I should praise the gilding on the psaltery? 'Tis not for her to hold that prize a prize, or praise much praise, though proudest in its wise, to which even hopes of merely women rise. Such strife would to the vanquished laurels yield, against her suffered to have lost a field. Herself must with herself be sole compeer, unless the people of her distant sphere some gold migration send to melodize the year. But first our hearts must burn in larger guise, to reformate the uncharitable skies, and so the deathless plumage to acclimatize, since this their sole congener in our clime droops her sad ruffled thoughts for half the shivering time. Yet I have felt what terrors may consort in women's cheeks, the Graces' soft resort. My hand hath shook at gentle hands' access, and trembled at the waving of a tress. My blood known panic fear, and fled dismayed where ladies' eyes have set their ambuscade. The rustle of a robe hath been to me the very rattle of love's musketry. Although my heart hath beat the loud advance, I have recoiled before a challenging glance, proved gay alarms where warlike ribbons dance, and from it all this knowledge have I got, the whole that others have is less than they have not. All which makes other women noted fair, unnoted would remain and overshone in her. How should I gauge what beauty is her dole, who cannot see her countenance for her soul, as birds see not the casement for the sky, and as 'tis check they prove its presence by? I know not of her body till I find my flight debarred the heaven of her mind. Hers is the face whence all should copied be. Did God make replicas of such as she? Its presence felt by what it does abate, because the soul shines through tempered and mitigate. Where, as a figure labouring at night beside the body of a splendid light, dark time works hidden by its luminousness, and every line he labours to impress turns added beauty,
like the veins that run athwart a leaf which hangs against the sun. There regent melancholy wide controls, there earth and heaven love play for aureoles, there sweetness out of sadness breaks at fits like bubbles on dark water, or as flits a sudden silver fin through its deep infinities. There amorous thought has sucked pale fancy's breath, and tenderness sits looking toward the lands of death. There feeling stills her breathing with her hand, and dream from melancholy part rests the wand on this lady's heart. Looked you so deep, poor poetry has rocked himself to sleep. Upon the heavy blossom of her lips hangs the bee musing, nigh her lid's eclipse. Each half occulted star beneath that lies, and in the contemplation of those eyes, passionless passion, wild tranquillities. End of poem. This recording is in the public domain. Love in Dian's Lap, Epilogue, by Francis Thompson. Read for LibriVox.org by Amelia Chesley. Epilogue. To the poet's sitter, wherein he excuseth himself for the manner of the portrait. Alas, now wilt thou chide and say, I deem my figured descant hides the simple theme, or in another wise reproving, say, I ill observe thine own high reticent way. O pardon that I testify of thee what thou couldst never speak, nor others be. Yet, for the book is not more innocent of what the gazer's eyes make so intent, she will but smile, perhaps, that I find my fair sufficing scope in such strait theme as her. Bird of the sun, the star's wild honey bee, is your gold browsing done so thoroughly, or sinks a singed wing to narrow nest in me? Thus she might say, for not this lowly vein out-deprecates her deprecating strain. Oh, you mistake, dear lady, quite, nor know ether was strict as you, its loftiness as low. The heavens do not advance their majesty over their marge, beyond his empery the ensigns of the wind are not unfurled. His reign is hooped in by the pale o' the world. 'Tis not the continent but the contained that pleasaunce makes or prison, loose or chained. Too much alike or little captives me, for all oppression is captivity. What groweth to its height demands no higher, the limit limits not, but the desire. Give but my spirit its desired scope, a giant in a pismire I not grope. Deny it, and an ant, with on my back a firmament, the skyey vault will crack. Our minds make their own termini, nor call the issuing circumscriptions great or small. So high constructing nature lessons to us all. Who optics gives accommodate to see your countenance large as looks the sun to be, and distant greatness less than near humanity. We therefore with sure instinctive mind an equal spaciousness of bondage find, in confines far or near, of air or our own kind. Our looks and longings, which affront the stars, most richly bruised against their golden bars, delighted captives of their flaming spears, find a restraint restrainless which appears, as that is, and so simply natural, in you. The fair detention freedom call, and overscroll with fancies the loved prison wall. Such sweet captivity, and only such, in you as in those golden bars we touch. Our gazes for sufficing limits know the firmament above, your face below. Our longings are contented with the skies, contented with the heaven and your eyes. My restless wings that beat the whole world through flag on the confines of the sun and you, and find the human pale remoter of the two. End of poem. This recording is in the public domain.
To the Dead Cardinal of Westminster, by Francis Thompson. Read for LibriVox.org by Sonia. To the Dead Cardinal of Westminster. I will not perturbate thy paradisal state with praise of thy dead days. To the new heaven say, Spirit, thou wert fine clay, this do thy praise who knew. Therefore my spirit clings heaven's porter by the wings, and holds its gated goals apart, with thee to press a private business, whence deign me audience. Anchorite, who didst dwell with all the world for cell, my soul round me doth roll, a sequestration bare. Too far alike we were, too far dissimilar. For its burning fruitage I do climb the tree of the sky, do prize some human eyes. You smelt the heaven blossoms, and all the sweet embosoms the dear Uranian year, whose eyes my weak gaze shuns, which to the suns are suns, did not affray your lid. The carpet was let down, with golden mouldings strown, for you of angels blue. But I, ex-paradised, the shoulder of your Christ find high to lean thereby. So flaps my helpless sail, bellying with neither gale of heaven nor Orcus even. Life is a coquetry of death, which wearies me, too sure of the amour. A tiring room where I death's divers garments try, till fit some fashion sit. It seemeth me too much I do rehearse for such a mean and single scene. The sandy glass hence bear antique remembrancer, my veins do spare its pains. With secret sympathy my thoughts repeat in me, infirm, the turn of the worm. Beneath my appointed sod, the grave is in my blood, I shake to winds that take its grasses by the top. The rains thereon that drop perturb, with drip acerb, my subtly answering soul. The feet across its knoll do jar me from afar. As sap foretastes the spring, as earth ere blossoming thrills with far daffodils, and feels her breast turn sweet with the unconceived wheat, so doth my flesh foreloathe the abhorred spring of this, with ceasing presciences, affirm the preparate worm. I have no thought that I, when at the last I die, shall reach to gain your speech. But you, should that be so, may very well, I know, may well to me in hell, with recognizing eyes, look from your paradise. God bless thy hopelessness. Call, holy soul, oh call the hosts angelical, and say, see, far away lies one I saw on earth, one stricken from his birth with curse of destined verse. What place doth he usurp for such sad spirit reserve, given in dark lieu of heaven? The impitiable demon, beauty, to adore and dream on, to be perpetually hers, but she never his. He reapers miseries, foreknows his wages woes. He lives detached days, he serveth not for praise, for gold he is not sold. Deaf is he to world's tongue, he scorneth for his song the loud shouts of the crowd. He asketh not world's eyes, not to world's ears he cries, saith, these shut, if ye please. He measureth world's pleasure, world's ease as saints might measure, for higher just love entire. He asks not grudging pain, and knows his asking vain, and cries, love, love, and dies. In guerdon of long duty, unowned by love or beauty, and goes, tell, tell, who knows? Aliens from heaven's worth, fine beasts who nose in the earth, do their reward prepare. But are his great desires food but for nether fires? Ah me, a mystery. Can it be his alone to find when all is known that what he solely sought is lost, and thereto lost all that its seeking cost? That he must finally, through sacrificial tears and anchoretic years, tryst with the sensualist? So ask, and if they tell the secret terrible, good friend, I pray thee send some high gold ambassage to teach my unripe age. Tell, lest my feet walk hell. End of poem. This recording is in the public domain.
A Fallen Yew by Francis Thompson. Read for LibriVox.org by Amelia Chesley. A Fallen Yew. It seemed co-rival of the world's great prime, made to unedge the scythe of time, and last with stateliest rhyme. No tender dryad ever did endue that rigid chiton of rough yew, to fret her white flesh through, but some god like to those grim Asgard lords, who walk the fables of the hordes from Scandinavian fjords. upheaved its stubborn girth, and raised unriven against the whirl-blast and the levin defiant arms to heaven. When doom puffed out the stars, we might have said it would decline its heavy head and see the world to bed. For this firm yew did from the vassal lees, and rain and air its tributaries, its revenues increase, and levy impost on the golden sun, take the blind years as they might run, and no fate seek or shun. But now our yew is strook, is fallen, yea, hacked like dull wood of every day, to this and that men say. Never! To Hades' shadowy shipyards gone, dim barge of Dis, down Acheron it drops, or Lethe wan. Stirred by its fall, poor destined bark of Dis, along my soul a bruit there is of echoing images, reverberations of mortality, spelt backwards from its death to me its life reads saddenedly. Its breast was hollowed as the tooth of eld, and boys there creeping unbeheld a laughing moment dwelled. Yet they within its very heart so crept reached not the heart that courage kept with winds and years beswept. And in its boughs did close and kindly nest the birds, as they within its breast by all its leaves caressed. But bird nor child might touch by any art each other's or the tree's hid heart, a whole God's breadth apart. The breadth of God, he breadth of death and life. Even so, in undreamed strife with pulseless law, the sweetest wife on sweetest marriage day, their souls that grapple in medway, sweet to her sweet may say, I take you to my inmost heart, my true. Ah, fool, but there is one heart you shall never take him to. The hold that falls not when the town is got, the heart's heart, whose immured plot hath keys yourself keep not. Its ports you cannot burst, you are withstood, for him that to your listening blood sends precepts as he would. Its gates are deaf to love, high summoner. Yea, love's great warrant runs not there, you are your prisoner. Yourself are with yourself the sole consortress in that unleaguerable fortress. It knows you not for portress. Its keys are at the cincture hung of God. Its gates are trepidant to his nod. By him its floors are trod. And if his feet shall rock those floors in wrath, or blessed aspersions sleek his path, is only choice it hath. Yea, in that ultimate heart's occult abode, to lie as in an ovulet of God, or as a bower untrod, built by a secret lover for his spouse. Sole choice is this your life allows, sad tree whose perishing boughs so few birds house. End of poem. This recording is in the public domain. Dream-Tryst by Francis Thompson. Read for LibriVox.org by Amelia Chesley. Dream-Tryst. The breaths of kissing night and day were mingled in the eastern heaven, throbbing with unheard melody, shook Lyra all its star chords seven, when dusk shrunk cold and light trod shy, and dawn's grey eyes were troubled grey, and souls went palely up the sky, and mine to Lucidae. There was no change in her sweet eyes, since last I saw those sweet eyes shine. There was no change in her deep heart, since last that deep heart knocked at mine. Her eyes were clear, her eyes were hopes, wherein did ever come and go the sparkle of the fountain drops from her sweet soul below. The chambers in the house of dreams are fed with so divine an air that time's hoar wings grow young therein, and they who walk there are most fair. I joyed for me, I joyed for her, who with the past meet girl about, where our last kiss still warms the air, nor can her eyes go out. End of poem. This recording is in the public domain.
A Corymbus for Autumn by Francis Thompson. Read for LibriVox.org by Anusha, Iyer. Hearken my chant. 'Tis as a bacchantes, a grape spurt, a vine splash, a tossed tress, flown vaunt 'tis. Suffer my singing, gypsy of seasons, ere thou go winging, ere winter throws his slaking snows in thy feasting flagons' impurpurate glows. The sopped sun, toper as ever drank hard, stares foolish, hazed, rubicund, dazed, totty with thine October tankard. Tanned maiden, with cheeks like apples russet, and breast a brown agaric faint flushing at tip, and a mouth too red for the moon to buss it, but her cheek unvow its vestalship. Thy mists enclip her steel-clear circuit illuminous, until it crust, rubiginous, with the glorious gules of a glowing rust. Far other saw we, other indeed, the crescent moon, in the May days dead, fly up with its slender white wings spread out of its nest in the sea's waved mead. How are the veins of thee, autumn, laden? Umbered juices and pulped oozes, pappy out of the cherry bruises. Froth the veins of thee, wild, wild maiden, with hair that musters in globed clusters, in tumbling clusters like swarthy grapes, round thy brow and thine ears o'ershaden, with the burning darkness of eyes like pansies, like velvet pansies, wherethrough escapes the splendid might of thy conflagrate fancies. With robe gold tawny not hiding the shapes of the feet whereunto it falleth down, thy naked feet unsandaled. With robe gold tawny that does not veil, feet where the red is meshed in the brown, like a rubied sun in a Venice sail. The wassailous heart of the year is thine, his bacchic fingers disentwine his coronal at thy festival. His reveling fingers disentwine leaf, flower, and all, and let them fall, blossom and all, in thy wavering wine. The summer looks out from her brazen tower, through the flashing bars of July, waiting thy ripened golden shower, whereof there cometh with sandals fleet the northwest flying viewlessly, with a sword to shear and untamable feet, and the gorgon head of the winter shown to stiffen the gazing earth as stone. In crystal heaven's magic sphere, poised in the palm of thy fervid hand, thou seest the enchanted shows appear that stain Favonian firmament, richer than ever the Occident gave up to bygone summer's wand. Day's dying dragon lies drooping his crest, panting red pants into the west, or the butterfly sunset claps its wings, with flitter alit on the swinging blossom, the gusty blossom that tosses and swings off the sea with its blown and ruffled bosom, where through the wind sings till the crisped petals are loosened and strown overblown on the sand, shed, curling as dead rose leaves curl, on the flecked strand. Or higher, holier, saintlier, when, as now, all nature sacerdotal seems, and thou. The calm hour strikes on yon golden gong, in tones of floating and mellow light, a spreading summons to even song. See how there the cowled night kneels on the eastern sanctuary stair. What is this feel of incense everywhere? Clings it round folds of the blanch amist clouds, upwafted by the solemn thurifer, the mighty spirit unknown, that swingeth the slow earth before the embannered throne? Or is it the season under all these shrouds of light and sense and silence makes her known a presence everywhere, an inarticulate prayer, a hand on the soothed tresses of the air? But there is 1 hour scant of this Titanian primal liturgy, as there is but 1 hour for me and thee. Autumn, for thee and thine hierophant, of this grave ending chant. Round the earth still and stark, heaven's death lights kindle, yellow spark by spark, beneath the dreadful catafalque of the dark. And I had ended there, but a great wind blew all the stars to flare, and cried, I sweep the path before the moon. Tarry ye now the coming of the moon, for she is coming soon. Then died before the coming of the moon. And she came forth upon the trepidant air, in vesture unimagined fair, woven as woof of flag lilies, and curdled as of flag lilies, the vapour at the feet of her, and a haze about her tinged in fainter wise. As if she had trodden the stars in press, till the gold wine spurted over her dress, till the gold wine gushed out round her feet, spouted over her stained wear, and bubbled in golden froth at her feet, and hung like a whirlpool's mist round her. Still, mighty season, do I see it. Thy sway is still majestical. Thou holdest of God by title sure thine indefeasible investiture, and that right round thy locks are native to, the heavens upon thy brow imperial, this huge terrain thy ball, and o'er thy shoulders thrown wide air's depending pall. What if thine earth be bare and bleak of hue? Still the skies are sweet, still, season, still thou hast thy triumphs there. How have I, unaware, forgetful of my strain inaugural, cleft the great rondure of thy reign complete, yielding thee half, who hast indeed the all? I will not think thy sovereignty begun, but with the shepherd's son, that washes in the sea the stars' gold fleeces, or that with day it seizes, who sets his burning lips to the salt brine, and purples it to wine. While I behold how ermined Artemius ordained weed must wear, and toil thy business, who witness am of her too in autumn turned a vintager, and, laden with its lamped clusters bright, the fiery fruited vineyard of this night. End of poem. This recording is in the public domain.
The Hound of Heaven by Francis Thompson. Read for LibriVox.org by Tony Addison. I fled him down the nights and down the days. I fled him down the arches of the years. I fled him down the labyrinthine ways of my own mind. And in the mist of tears I hid from him, and under running laughter. Up vistaed hopes I sped, and shot precipitated adown titanic glooms of chasmed fears, from those strong feet that followed after, but with unhurrying chase and unperturbed pace, deliberate speed, majestic instancy, they beat, and a voice beat more instant than the feet. All things betray thee, who betrayest me. I pleaded outlaw-wise by many a hearted casement curtained red, trellised with intertwining charities. For though I knew his love who followed, yet was I sore adread lest, having him, I must have nought beside. But if one little casement parted wide, the gust of his approach would clash it to. Fear wist not to evade, as love wist to pursue. Across the margent of the world I fled, and troubled the gold gateways of the stars, smiting for shelter on their changed bars, fretted to dulcet jars and sylvan chatter the pale ports of the moon. I said to dawn, be sudden, to eve, be soon. Would the young skiey blossoms heap me over from this tremendous lover. Float thy vague veil about me, lest he see. I tempted all his servitors, but to find my own betrayal in their constancy. In faith to him, their fickleness to me, their traitorous trueness, and their loyal deceit, to all swift things for swiftness did I sue, clung to the whistling mane of every wind, but whether they swept smoothly fleet the long savannas of the blue, or whether thunder-driven they clanged his chariot thwart a heaven, plashy with flying lightnings round the spurn of their feet, fear wist not to evade, as love wist to pursue. Still with unhurrying chase and unperturbed pace, deliberate speed, majestic instancy, came on the following feet, and a voice above their beat. Naught shelters thee who wilt not shelter me. I sought no more that after which I strayed, in face of man or maid, but still within the little children's eyes seems something, something that replies, they at least are for me, surely for me. I turned me to them very wistfully, but just as their young eyes grew sudden fair with dawning answers there, their angel plucked them from me by the hair. Come, then, ye other children, natures, share with me, said I, your delicate fellowship. Let me greet you lip to lip, let me twine you with caresses, wantoning with our Lady Mother's vagrant tresses, banqueting with her in her wind-walled palace, underneath her azure dais, quaffing, as your taintless way is, from a chalice, lucent weeping out of the dayspring. So it was done. I in their delicate fellowship was one. Through the bolt of nature's secrecies I knew all the swift importings on the wilful face of skies. I knew how the clouds arise, spumed of the wild sea snortings. All that's born or dies, rose and drooped with, made them shapers of mine own moods, or wailful or divine, with them joyed and was bereaven. I was heavy with the even, when she lit her glimmering tapers round the day's dead sanctities. I laughed in the morning's eyes, I triumphed and I saddened with all weather. Heaven and I wept together, and its sweet tears were salt with mortal mine. Against the red throb of its sunset heart I laid my own to beat, and share commingling heat. But not by that was eased my human smart. In vain my tears were wet on heaven's grey cheek. For we know not what each other says. These things and I in sound I speak, their sound is but their stir, they speak by silences. Nature, poor stepdam, cannot slake my druth. Let her, if she would owe me, drop yon blue bosom veil of sky, and show me the breasts o' her tenderness. Never did any milk of hers once bless my thirsting mouth. Nigh and nigh draws the chase with unperturbed pace, deliberate speed, majestic instancy, and past those noised feet a voice comes yet more fleet. Lo, naught contents thee, who content'st not me. Naked I wait thy love's uplifted stroke. My harness piece by piece thou hast hewn from me, and smitten me to my knee. I am defenceless utterly. I slept, methinks, and woke, and slowly gazing, find me stripped in sleep. In the rash lustihead of my young powers I shook the pillaring hours, and pulled my life upon me, grimed with smears. I stand amid the dust of the mounded years. My mangled youth lies dead beneath the heap. My days have crackled and gone up in smoke, have puffed and burst as sun starts on a stream. Yea, faileth now even dream, the dreamer, and the lute, the lutanist. Even the linked fantasies, in whose blossomy twist I swung the earth a trinket at my wrist, are yielding, cords of all too weak account, for earth with heavy griefs so overplussed. Ah, is thy love indeed a weed, albeit an amaranthine weed, suffering no flowers except its own to mount? Ah, must, Designer infinite, ah, must thou char the wood ere thou canst limn with it? My freshness spent its wavering shower i' the dust, and now my heart is as a broken fount, wherein tear-dripping stagnates, spilt down ever from the dank thoughts that shiver upon the sighful branches of my mind. Such is what is to be. The pulp so bitter, how shall taste the rind? I dimly guess what time in mists confounds, yet ever and anon a trumpet sounds from the hid battlements of eternity. Those shaken mists a space unsettle, then round the half-glimpsed turrets slowly wash again, but not ere him who summoneth I first have seen, enwound with grooming robes purpureal, cypress-crowned. His name I know, and what his trumpet saith. Whether man's heart or life it be which yields thee harvest, must thy harvest fields be dunged with rotten death? Now of that long pursuit comes on at hand the bruit. That voice is round me like a bursting sea. And is thy earth so marred, shattered in shard on shard? Lo, all things fly thee, for thou fliest me. Strange, piteous, futile thing, wherefore should any set thee love apart, seeing none but I makes much of naught? He said, and human love needs human meriting. How hast thou merited of all man's clotted clay the dingiest clot? Alack, thou knowest not how little worthy of any love thou art. Whom wilt thou find to love ignoble thee, save me, save only me? All which I took from thee I did but take, not for thy harms, but just that thou mightst seek it in my arms. All which thy child's mistake fancies as lost, I have stored for thee at home. Rise, clasp my hand, and come. Halts by me that footfall. Is my gloom, after all, shade of his hand outstretched caressingly? Ah, fondest, blindest, weakest, I am he whom thou seekest. Thou dravest love from thee who dravest me. End of poem. This recording is in the public domain.
A Judgment in Heaven by Francis Thompson. Read for LibriVox.org by Anusha Iyer. Athwart the sod which is treading for God, the poet paced with his splendid eyes. Paradise verdure he stately passes, to win to the Father of Paradise. Through the conscious and palpitant grasses of intertangled relucent dyes, the angels a-play on its fields of summer, their wild wings rustled his guides' simars, looked up from disport at the passing corner as they pelted each other with handfuls of stars. And the warden spirits with startled feet rose, hand on sword by their tethered cars. With plumes night-tinctured and globed and cinctured, of saints his guided steps held on, to where on the far crystalline pale Of that trans-stellar heaven there shone the immutable Crocian dawn, effusing from the Father's throne. Through the reverberant Eden ways, the bruit of his great advent driven, back from the fulgent justle and press, with mighty echoing so was given, as when the surly thunder smites upon the clanged gates of heaven. Over the bickering gonfalons, far ranged as for Tartarian wars, went a waver of ribbed fire, as night sees on phosphoric bars, like a flame-plumed fan shake slowly out their ridgy reach of crumbling stars. At length, to where on his fretted throne sat in the heart of his aged dominions the great Triune, and Mary nigh, lit round with spears of their hauberked minions, the poet drew in the thunderous blue involved dread of those mounted pinions. As in a secret and tenebrous cloud, the watcher from the disquiet earth at momentary intervals beholds from its ragged rifts break forth the flash of a golden perturbation, the travelling threat of a witched birth. Till heavily parts a sinister chasm, a grisly jaw, whose verges soon, slowly and ominously filled by the oncoming plenilune, supportlessly congest with fire, and suddenly spit forth the moon. With beauty, not terror, through tangled error of night-dipped plumes so burned their charge, swayed and parted the globing clusters, so, disclosed from their kindling marge, roseal chapleted, splendent vestured, the singer there where God's light lay large. Hoo-hoo! A wonder, see! Clasping the singer's glories clings a dingy creature even to laughter, cloaked and clad in patchwork things, shrinking close from the unused glows of the seraph's versy-coloured wings. A rhymer, rhyming a futile rhyme. He had crept for convoy through Eden ways, into the shade of the poet's glory, darkened under his prevalent rays, fearfully hoping a distant welcome, as a poor kinsman of his lays. The angels laughed with a lovely scorning. Who has done this sorry deed in the garden of our Father, God? Mid his blossoms to sow this weed in? Never our fingers knew the stuff, not so fashioned the looms of Eden. The singer bowed his brow majestic, searching that patchwork through and through, feeling God's lucent gazes traverse his singing stoling and spirit too. The hallowed harpers were fain to frown on the strange thing come mid their sacred crew. Only the singer that was earth, his fellow earth and his own self knew. But the poet rent off robe and wreath, so as a sloughing serpent doth, laid them at the rhymer's feet, shed down wreath and raiment both, stood in a dim and shamed stole, like the tattered wing of a musty moth. Thou gavest the weed and wreath of song, the weed and wreath are solely thine, and this dishonest vesture is the only vesture that is mine, the life I textured, thou the song. My handicraft is not divine. He rested o'er the rhymer's head, that garmenting which wrought him wrong, of flickering tissue argentine, down dripped its shivering silvers long. Better thou wovest thy woof of life, than thou didst weave thy woof of song. Never a chief in saintdom was, but turned him from the poet then. Never an eye looked mild on him, mid all the angel myriads 10. Save sinless Mary, and sinful Mary, the Mary titled Magdalene. Turn yon robe, spake Magdalene, of torn bright song and see and feel. They turned the raiment, saw and felt. What their turning did reveal, all the inner surface piled with bloodied hairs like hairs of steel. Take, I pray, yon chaplet up, thrown down ruddied from his head. They took the roseal chaplet up, and they stood astonished. Every leaf between their fingers, as they bruised it, burst and bled. See his torn flesh through those rents, see the punctures round his hair, as if the chaplet flowers had driven deep roots in to nourish there. Lord, who gavest him robe and wreath? What was this thou gavest for wear? Fetch forth the paradisal garb, spake the father, sweet and low, drew them both by the frightened hand, where Mary's throne made irised bow. Take, Princess Mary, of thy good grace, two spirits greater than they know. End of poem. This recording is in the public domain.
Epilogue by Francis Thompson. Read for LibriVox by Christine Lehman. Virtue may unlock hell, or even a sin turn in the wards of heaven. As ethics of the textbook go, so little men their own deeds know. Or through the intricate melee, guess whither ward draws the battle sway. So little, if they know the deed, discern what therefrom shall succeed. To wisest moralists 'tis but given to work rough border law of heaven. Within this narrow life of ours, these marches twixt delimitless powers, is it, if heaven the future showed, is it the all severest mode to see ourselves with the eyes of God? God rather grant at his assize he see us not with our own eyes. Heaven, which man's generations draws, nor deviates into replicas, must of as deep diversity in judgment as creation be. There is no expeditious road to pack and label men for God, and save them by the barrel load. Some may perchance with strange surprise have blundered into paradise. In vasty dusk of life abroad, they fondly thought to err from God, nor knew the circle that they trod, and wandering all the night about, found them at morn where they set out. Death dawned, heaven lay in prospect wide, lo, they were standing at his side. The rhymer a life uncomplex, with just such cares as mortals vex, so simply felt as all men feel, lived purely out to his soul's weal. A double life the poet lived, and with a double burthen grieved. The life of flesh and life of song, the pangs to both lives that belong, immortal new and mortal pain, who in two worlds could lose and gain, and found immortal fruits must be mortal through his mortality. The life of flesh and life of song, if one life worked the other wrong, what expiating agony may for him damned to poesy shut in that little sentence be? What deep austerities of strife! He lived his life. He lived his life. End of poem. This recording is in the public domain.
Poems on Children. Daisy by Francis Thompson. Read for LibriVox.org by Anusha Iyer. Where the thistle lifts a purple crown, 6 foot out of the turf, and the harebell shakes on the windy hill. Oh, the breath of the distant surf! The hills look over on the south, and southward dreams the sea. And with the sea breeze hand in hand came innocence and she. Where mid the gorse the raspberry red for the gatherer springs, 2 children did we stray and talk, wise, idle, childish things. She listened with big-lipped surprise, breast deep mid flower and spine. Her skin was like a grape, whose veins run snow instead of wine. She knew not those sweet words she spake, nor knew her own sweet way. But there's never a bird so sweet a song thronged in whose throat that day. Oh, there were flowers in Storrington, on the turf and on the spray, but the sweetest flower on Sussex hills was the daisy flower that day. Her beauty smoothed earth's furrowed face. She gave me tokens three, a look, a word of her winsome mouth, and a wild raspberry. A berry red, a guileless look, a still word, strings of sand, and yet they made my wild, wild heart fly down to her little hand. For standing artless as the air and candid as the skies, she took the berries with her hand, and the love with her sweet eyes. The fairest things have fleetest end, their scent survives their close, but the rose's scent is bitterness to him that loved the rose. She looked a little wistfully, then went her sunshine way. The sea's eye had a mist on it, and the leaves fell from the day. She went her unremembering way. She went and left in me the pang of all the partings gone and partings yet to be. She left me marvelling why my soul was sad that she was glad, at all the sadness in the sweet, the sweetness in the sad. Still, still I seemed to see her, still look up with soft replies, and take the berries with her hand, and the love with her lovely eyes. Nothing begins, and nothing ends. That is not paid with mourn, for we are born in others' pain, and perish in our own. End of poem. This recording is in the public domain. The Making of Viola by Francis Thompson, read for LibriVox.org.
The Father of Heaven, read by Matthew Datcher, and Angels, read by Anusha Iyer. Spin, daughter Mary, spin, twirl your wheel with silver din. Spin, daughter Mary, spin a tress for Viola.
Spin, Queen Mary, a brown tress for Viola.
Weave, hands angelical, weave a woof of flesh to Paul. Weave, hands angelical, flesh to Paul our Viola.
Weave, singing brothers, a velvet flesh for Viola.
Scoop young Jesus for her eyes, wood-brown pools of paradise. Young Jesus for the eyes of Viola.
Tint, Prince Jesus, a dusked eye for Viola.
Cast a star therein to drown, like a torch in cavern brown. Sink a burning star to drown, whelmed in eyes of Viola.
Lave, Prince Jesus, a star in eyes of Viola.
Breathe, Lord Paraclete, to a bubbled crystal meet. Breathe, Lord Paraclete, crystal soul for Viola.
Breathe, regal spirit, a flashing soul for Viola.
Child angels, from your wings fall the roseal hoverings. Child angels, from your wings on the cheeks of Viola.
Linger, rosy reflex, a quenchless stain on Viola. All things being accomplished, saith the Father of Heaven.
Bear her down, and bearing sing. Bear her down on spyless wing. Bear her down, and bearing sing with a sound of Viola.
Music, as her name is, a sweet sound of Viola.
Wheeling angels past the spile danced her down the sound of viol. Wheeling angels past the spile descanting on Viola.
Sing, in our footing, a lovely lilt of Viola.
Baby smiled, mother wailed, earthward while the sweetling sailed. Mother smiled, baby wailed, when to earth came Viola.
And her elders shall say, so soon have we taught you a way to weep, poor Viola. Smile, sweet baby, smile, for you will have weeping while. Native in your heaven is smile, but your weeping, Viola? Whence your smiles we know, but whence your weeping, Viola? Our first gift to you is a gift of tears, my Viola. End of poem. This recording is in the public domain.
To My Godchild, Francis M.W.M. by Francis Thompson. Read for LibriVox.org by John Burlinson. This labouring vast Tellurian galleon, riding at anchor off the orient sun, had broken its cable, and stood out to space down some frore arctic of the aerial ways. And now, back warping from the inclement main, its vaporous shroudage drenched with icy rain, it swung into its azure roads again, when, floated on the prosperous sun-gale, you lit a white halcyon auspice mid our frozen crew. To the sun, stranger, surely you belong, giver of golden days and golden song. Nor is it by an all unhappy plan you bear the name of me, his constant Magian. Yet from any other that it came, lest fated to my fate you be, as to my name. When at the first those tidings did they bring, my heart turned troubled at the ominous thing. Though well may such a title him endower, for whom a poet's prayer implores a poet's power. The Assisian, who kept plighted faith to three, to song, to sanctitude, and poverty, in two alone of whom most singers prove a fatal faithfulness of during love. He, the sweet solace of whom we scarcely ken how God he could love more, he so loved men. The crown and crowned of Laura and Italy, and Fletcher's fellow, from these and not from me, take you your name, and take your legacy. Or, if a right successive you declare, when worms for ivies intertwine my hair, take but this poesy that now followeth my clayey hest with sullen servile breath, made then your happy freedman by testating death. My song I do but hold for you in trust. I ask you but to blossom from my dust. When you have compassed all weak I began, diviner poet and, diviner man, the man at feud with the perduring child, in you, before song's altar nobly reconciled. From the wise heavens I half shall smile to see how little a world which owned you needed me. If, while you keep the vigils of the night, for your wild tears make darkness all too bright, some lone orb through your lonely window peeps, as it played lover over your sweet sleeps. Think it a golden crevice in the sky, which I have pierced but to behold you by. And when, Immortal mortal, droops your head, and you, the child of deathless song, are dead. Then as you search with unaccustomed glance the ranks of paradise for my countenance, turn not your tread along the Iranian sod among the bearded counsellors of God. For if in Eden as on earth are we, I sure shall keep a younger company. Pass where beneath their ranged gonfalons the starry cohorts shake their shielded suns, the dreadful mass of their enrigid spears. Pass where majestical the eternal peers, the stately choice of the great sanctum meet, a silvern segregation, globed complete, in sandaled shadow of the triune feet. Pass by where wait, young poet wayfarer, your cozened clusters, emulous to share with you the roseal lightnings burning mid their hair. Pass the crystalline sea, the lampad seven, look for me in the nurseries of heaven. End of poem. This recording is in the public domain.
The Poppy to Monica by Francis Thompson. Read for LibriVox.org by Anusha Iyer. Summer set lip to earth's bosom bare, and left the flushed print in a poppy there. Like a yawn of fire from the grass it came, and the fanning wind puffed it to flapping flame. With burnt mouth red like a lion's, it drank the blood of the sun as he slaughtered sank, and dipped its cup in the purpurate shine when the eastern conduits ran with wine. Till it grew lethargied with fierce bliss, and hot as a swink gypsy is, and drowsed in sleepy savageries, with mouth wide apout for a sultry kiss. A child and man paced side by side, treading the skirts of eventide, but between the clasp of his hand and hers felt not 20 withered years. She turned, with the rout of her dusk south hair, and saw the sleeping gypsy there, and snatched and snapped it in swift child's whim, with "Keep it long as you live," to him. And his smile, as nymphs from their laving meres, trembled up from a bath of tears, and joy, like a muse sea-rocked apart, tossed on the wave of his troubled heart. For he saw what she did not see, that, as kindled by its own fervency, the verge shriveled inward smoulderingly, and suddenly, twixt his hand and hers, he knew the 20 withered years. No flower, but 20 shriveled years. Was never such thing until this hour, low to his heart he said, "The flower of sleep brings wakening to me, and of oblivion memory." Was never this thing to me, he said, though with bruised poppies my feet are red, and again to his own heart very low, "O child, I love, for I love and know." But you, who love nor know at all, the divers chambers in love's guest hall, where some rise early, few sit long, in how differing accents hear the throng his great Pentecostal tongue. Who know not love from amity, nor my reported self from me, a fair fit gift is this, meseems, you give, this withering flower of dreams. O frankly fickle and fickly true, do you know what the days will do to you? To your love and you, what the days will do? O frankly fickle and fickly true! You have loved me fair 3 lives or days, 'twill pass with the passing of my face. But where I go, your face goes too, to watch lest I play false to you.
I am but, my sweet, your foster lover, knowing well when certain years are over, you vanish from me to another. Yet I know and love like the foster mother. So frankly fickle and fickly true, for my brief life, while I take from you this token fair and fit, meseems, for me, this withering flower of dreams. The sleep flower sways in the wheat its head, heavy with dreams as that with bread. The goodly grain and the sun-flushed sleeper, the reaper reaps, and time the reaper. I hang mid men my needless head, and my fruit is dreams as theirs is bread. The goodly men and the sun-haste sleeper, time shall reap, but after the reaper the world shall glean of me, the sleeper. Love, love, your flower of withered dream in leavid rhyme lies safe, I deem, sheltered and shut in a nook of rhyme from the reaper man and his reaper time. Love, I fall into the claws of time, but lasts within a leavid rhyme. All that the world of me esteems, my withered dreams, my withered dreams. End of poem. This recording is in the public domain.
To Monica, Thought Dying by Francis Thompson. Read for LibriVox.org by John Burlinson. You, oh, the piteous you, who all the long night through anticipatedly disclose yourself to me, already in the ways beyond our human comfortable days. How can you deem what death impitiably saith to me, who listening wake for your poor sake? When a grown woman dies, you know we think unceasingly what things she said, how sweet, how wise, and these do make our misery. But you were, you to me, the dead anticipatedly. You, 11 years, was not, or so? Were just a child, you know. And so you never said things sweet immediately and wise, to interdict from closure my wet eyes. But foolish things, my dead, little and laughable, your age that fitted well. And was it such things all unmemorable? Was it such things could make me sob all night for your implacable sake? Yet, as you said to me in pretty make-believe of revelry, so the night long said Death with his magniloquent breath. And that remembered laughter, which in our daily uses followed after, was all untuned to pity and to awe. A cup of chocolate, 1 farthing is the rate. You drink it through a straw. How could I know, how know, those laughing words when drenched with sobbing so? Another voice than yours he hath. My dear, was't worth his breath, his mighty utterance? Yet he saith and saith, this dreadful death to his own dreadfulness doth dreadful wrong. This dreadful childish babble on his tongue, that iron tongue made to speak sentences and wisdom insupportably complete. Why should it only say the long night through, in mimicry of you, the cup of chocolate, 1 farthing is the rate. You drink it through a straw, a straw, a straw. Oh, of all sentences piercingly incomplete, why did you teach that fatal mouth to draw, child, impermissible awe from your old trivialness? Why have you done me this most unsustainable wrong, and into death's control betrayed the secret places of my soul? Teaching him that his lips, uttering their native earthquake and eclipse, could never so avail to rend from hem to hem the ultimate veil of this most desolate spirit, and leave it stripped and desecrate. Nay, never so have wrung from eyes and speech weakness unmanned, unmeet, as when his terrible dotage to repeat its little lesson learneth at your feet, as when he sits among his sepulchres to play with broken toys your hand has cast away, with derelict trinkets of the darling young. Why have you taught that he might so complete his awful panoply from your cast playthings? Why this dreadful childish babble to his tongue, dreadful and sweet? End of poem. This recording is in the public domain.